I am Linda Fox in the Phocuswire studio, and I am joined by Brett Keller, CEO of Priceline until very recently. Welcome.
Yes,
When
thank
do you
you.
actually step down, or have you stepped down?
I have not officially stepped down yet.
Okay, so
in
still-
fact, still a few more weeks to go.
Okay.
My successor, Bridget Zimmerman, will be taking over on January 1st. And I'll loiter around, as many CEOs do, for a few months just to
Yeah.
make sure things, go smoothly.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your, 25 years at Priceline, 10 as CEO. What's the biggest piece of advice that you're passing on to your successor?
Ooh, make sure you have the best possible team working around you, which she currently does, and she'll continue to add to that. I think that makes all of the difference when you're trying to execute in a very fast-paced and exciting industry like travel, and especially in technology. You need people who know their business and are ready to deliver.
Has your team been with you for that kind of long period of time as well? Have you kind of created that longevity within the team as well?
Yes, yes, absolutely. In fact, Priceline and Booking Holdings more largely, we have done, I think, a fantastic job of bringing leaders in who want to stay and who are really motivated to build and grow products. And so for my leadership team at Priceline, I do have a few new folks on the team over the last couple of years, but the majority of the team has been with me for 5 to 10 to 15 years, depending on who we're talking about.
Okay, I want to ask you about, as you look back over your tenure, talk to us about the good, the bad, and the ugly, or, what have you loved? What have the challenges been?
Sure. Well, the good is, listen, the Priceline story is one of the most, I think, exciting e-commerce stories in the history of the internet. It was one of the originals founded on the East Coast, which was extremely unique. And we weathered some really, really difficult times and trials. In fact, we were one of the brands that we were that close to going out of business. We had to redo our business model.
Yep.
And come out of both 9/11 and out of the really the internet bubble collapsing, and we built a business out of it. And those were really trying and difficult times, but that's what I think made us who we are today and gave us the longevity to be successful in the industry. So that's the good. It's amazing. The industry is
The resilience.
just fantastic.
Yeah.
The resilience
Yeah.
of consumers, of the people to want to build and grow products that serve that industry, and just the people that it attracts. We love the people who work around us, and all of our partners, our supply partners, just really solid people who you can trust and who you can do business with.
Okay, so what's the, we were just talking there before we went on camera about reactions. What's the greatest reaction or the funniest reaction you've had so far to your announcement?
Oh, that's a very good question. Actually, I don't think I have. I don't think I have
that's
a really.
okay. No, that's okay. I thought maybe your mom or somebody rang you and went, "What? You gave up your job? It was a great job."
Not yet. I think what I've been just so impressed with is how many people have reached out, not just from within the company, but from outside the company.
Yeah.
Things travel. The news travels so fast.
sure.
Within minutes of a press release going out, I had contacts from literally all over the world.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's quite nice.
Yeah, it was very
That's
nice.
really nice. Okay, rapid pace of change, and what do you think as you sort of prepare to step outside of Priceline? What do you think we're going to see or continue to see in the coming months?
Inside the travel industry in particular.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, everyone wants to talk about AI, and for a good reason. It is rapidly changing the industry, even though we're not quite seeing all of the front-facing benefits yet.
Yeah.
They're coming. And our company in particular has engaged now for several years on building out the infrastructure and the systems to be able to deploy it. And now we're building the product. And the product is, I think, moving along very nicely. Yes, we're, I think, still a few years away from reaching the vision of these AI agents that can really do a lot of things for you successfully, but they're coming, and that will change the ecosystem of travel. And everyone wants to create and build that product. The big distribution players, the OTAs, the suppliers would love to have them.
Yep.
And so the question is, who can build the best tech and product, and who can put it to market first?
Does it continue to excite you? Or are you is there a part of you that thinks, okay, I don't need to take so much attention of it as maybe I'll just, sit and watch a bit of TV, or are you going to be a person that stays on top of all those developments?
It's too exciting to stay away from.
Yeah.
We've been in the industry now for, 27 years. We've been through a couple of really exciting tech evolutions,
Yeah.
right? First was the internet. and then it was really mobile devices, and then we got into cloud. But this one is a big one, and I think you can't turn away from it and not engage with it.
Does anything sort of feel, anything that's gone before, does it feel like now? Is anything comparable in any way?
The advent of the iPhone is a bit of there's some similarities there.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because at the time when the iPhone came out, no one knew how to code to that product base. And so our developers and product people had to learn on the fly how to develop and how to build products that consumers would love in a completely new interface.
Yeah.
Where we're so desktop focused, we had no idea how to build mobile. And so that we're seeing now, all of the talent that we currently have in our company working on these products is homegrown. It's people who have picked it up on the fly, have learned how to really write prompts, how to build the back-end code and infrastructure to support it. And so there's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
The outcome is going to be quite different, though.
Yeah. I guess also the kind of iterations that we saw at the time could also be kind of draw parallels because it was rapid and it was exciting and we hadn't seen it before. And I think that also kind of strikes a chord. Okay. What's your best advice for anyone kind of starting in the industry now?
My best advice would be build something that solves a real world problem. If you're looking to just recreate the same thing that everyone else has with a different skin or a different wrapper, especially higher up the funnel, when it comes to trip planning, trip research, those are a dime a dozen. There's millions of those in the ecosystem. Those will continue to churn out, and the majority of those never go anywhere. But the people who look deeper into the infrastructure and the systems and build products that either solve a problem that a supplier has, an OTA has, or that the consumer is really struggling with, it could be just a micro segment of the industry. There's a lot of opportunity there to help the overall infrastructure of travel to get better. And the second is be careful in believing that you can acquire customers effectively in today's marketplace.
Yeah.
That is probably the hardest thing to do in today's world.
Yeah. And you know, those two elements you've just mentioned, they are age old when it comes to startups. You know, a product that people want, and you know the fact that you're going to have to go out and get your customers, so be really thinking about that.
Yes,
I know that I sigh inwardly when I see another kind of trip planning startup, and it's kind of sad.
Yes.
Okay, we talked about your advice. So, what other trends? I mean, obviously more of the same in terms of what's happening top of the funnel. What else do you think we're going to be seeing as we look ahead to 2026?
Yeah, this sounds a little cliche, but we really are finally on the verge of great personalization in travel. Listen, I was here, 25 years ago listening to Cherry Jones talk about the giant database they were building and how that's going to create, personalized experiences for consumers. Here we are, 25 years later. Do you really feel like what you're seeing in your product experience is highly personalized? I think the answer is no.
No.
There's little nuances here and there. We're trying to put the right hotels up in front of you. We're trying to, change a little bit of front-end merchandising, but the reality is there's very little personalization that has been successful. And the technology now that we're seeing really does break down the barriers and can empower that, because it's easy to, I think, personalize in large chunks of people at scale, right? There's 5 different personas, but when you're really talking about personalizing down to you, the things that you like to do, the places you like to stay, the types of hotel you like, we really do see a path forward now to accomplish that with the technology. And,
will the trust come alongside that really quickly? Because I think, consumers have been given that choice for so long and they're used to having the choice and the shopping around. Will they make that kind of trust leap quickly?
I think so. I think it depends on the established relationship that you already have with your existing consumer base. And if they believe the products and services you provide today are valuable, this will just be another, I think, check mark for you that adds a lot of validity to what you can deliver to the marketplace. I think if you are brand new, that creates a much more difficult challenge because, one, you don't have the history and the context and the elements to personalize for the consumer, unlike, I think, folks who've been in the industry for a while who have that information. And so I think brand matters potentially even more moving forward than less.
Do you see on the horizon how we search and book travel now versus how we will search and book travel? Like, do you see that tipping point already, or do you think we're still some way off?
We see a path towards it, but I
Nice.
think we're still quite a ways away from it.
Yeah.
You know, we've done a lot of testing around the margins of, you know, starting to inject what I think everyone would admit, all of our LLM models and our, you know, conversational agents, we have Penny, they're still very young. And so we're trying not to force those too quickly into consumers' hands and interrupt what would be a nice and easy transaction flow. But if we can continue to prove to them that as the product continues to mature, you'll see us move that more and more up into the booking funnel.
Yes.
And if we can see success from that, you'll see us really put the accelerator down and putting that in front of consumers.
Okay. Now, one of your roles was as marketing director in your tenure at Priceline. And of course, you would have been there when there was the great William Shatner, which is often called the greatest travel marketing campaign of all time.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I think it was in Christina's notes, actually. But it's memorable. Everybody, you know, talks about that one,
Yes,
and everybody remembers that one. So what I wanted to ask you is how you think and how you're seeing marketing change.
Well, I think in the travel ecosystem, especially among the online travel agencies in particular, you've seen, I think, following that campaign, almost every player since has leaned into some type of character representation for their brand.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of set the stage for, we need a spokesperson or a spokes persona,
Yes.
right, to speak on behalf of our brand. And so that certainly evolved into that infrastructure. But the way people are consuming media now has changed so much.
Exactly.
That, you know, putting out a traditional branded campaign in traditional media has really shifted. And so I think we're all trying to figure out what is the best mix of media and what the right creative is to be effective in that type of a model. But the risk is you spread your dollars so far across so many channels that you
Exactly.
actually have no effect at all.
Yeah.
So there is still great value in video and video exposure. It's just now coming through multiple platforms. And I think it still does really matter if you have great creative. And so we continue to look at and try to build creative that will resonate with consumers. And, you know, one of the great, I think, successes of the Negotiator campaign was that he, as a spokesperson, actually represented what we really did as people every day inside of our company. You know, he fought for the very best prices and the very best deals. And I think that resonated because he wasn't a spokesperson. He was us.
Yes.
He was the brand.
Yeah. It really
Yes.
personification of what
Yes,
Priceline
and so
was.
we continue to strive, I think, for that in the messaging that we put out in the marketplace.
Any kind of marketing campaign that you've loved, and that could be across any channel, could be in travel, could be something really smart outside travel, anything that you've seen recently and you've gone, wow, that's super smart.
Oh boy, now you're really plugging my memory banks. There's a lot of great campaigns out there. The reality, though, is some of them are just amplified because of the amount of money that they can put behind them. You know,
Interesting.
the insurance field is a good one, right?
Yeah.
They put so much money behind it that they can take an above average campaign and make it feel amazing because they can amplify it so much with the dollars.
Yeah.
So the real trick is, can you do it without spending that kind of money?
Yeah, the
in
low
space?
budget
Yes.
kind of storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What's one thing that you would have liked to have achieved in your 25 years at Priceline that you have not for whatever reason?
Ooh, great question. I honestly,
You've done everything you wanted to do?
I think I have.
Yeah, good. Not a lot of people will say that.
I have loved my
Yeah.
career and
No,
opportunity.
you've always been super positive person and super positive about your team and the developments and everything that's going on in the industry. So, you know.
Yeah, I
maybe
mean, listen, looking back in time, the Priceline brand is very strong in the U.S. and really in North America. We made some choices 15 years ago, even longer than that, to really relegate the brand to that geographic footprint. And I think that was a mistake.
Okay, interesting.
That was a mistake. We
Okay.
should have expanded the Priceline brand to become a worldwide platform, because you see what happens when you have the leverage of worldwide marketing and worldwide consumer flow. And, you know, the booking.coms of the world, the Expedias of the world are leveraging that, and I think can find, you know, great growth as you look for pockets of growth around the world. And that was a group decision that we made, and I think it was the outcome has been fantastic for Booking Holdings, but for the Priceline brand in particular, it would have been nice to have had some footprint overseas.
You know, when we did the CEO Spotlight on Phocuswire a couple of years back, I think you linked that, the fact that you didn't do that to the fact that maybe you felt that you hadn't spoken up enough or been vocal enough at the time. I seem to recall there was something around, you know, not being afraid to speak, even if you're young and you don't find yourself, you know, experienced.
Yes.
Just you need to speak out anyway.
I absolutely said that because I think, you know, when you're younger in your career, you do hold back, right? You have reservations and you don't believe sometimes you have the right to put a voice forward on certain topics. But that's just not the case.
Yeah.
I think if you have thoughtful input on any topic or subject, you should be sharing that and make it vocal. Now, you have to be ready to have that rejected, and that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
That's part of business.
You can take the knocks.
Yes, you got to take the knocks with the acceptance. So.
Yeah, very good. Okay, let's wrap up here. What are you most proud of?
I am most proud of surviving some of the most, I think, challenging hits that a company can take over 25 years and coming out on top and having a brand and a team and a product that is fantastic, that really adds value for consumers. That's really what I'm proud of.
Yeah. And is this really goodbye?
Is this really goodbye?
Is this really goodbye?
Well, it's goodbye to Priceline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to Booking Holdings.
Yeah.
But there's
who
lots of
knows?
chapters to come, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Hope you can come back soon.
I love the industry. You can't walk away completely.
All right.
There's lots of ways to be involved without obviously taking, you know, a full-time leadership role or
100%.
a CEO role somewhere.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.